YouTube Aziko in the Goat House is back. About a month away until the NFL draft. In this video, I have 32 draft fits. A draft fit for every single NFL team. And going through first round talents on this video. And the teams that don't have a first round pick, don't worry, they got a fit. They actually got a first round talent fit because those guys happen to be prospects that actually could slide back a little bit and make it to them. We'll do separate videos in the near future for day 2 draft fits and day 3 draft fits for every single NFL team. We got full NFL coverage, including NFL draft coverage. We'll be live day 1 of the NFL draft right here on YouTube. So join us for that. Subscribe to both of our channels. Full NFL coverage all year long. Follow that Twitter. Constant NFL action on that Twitter. Always answering questions there as well. And then our new podcast, 5 episodes out. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple. There's a link in the description and in the comments for everything you need. So check all that out. Let's start with the Cardinals, and keep in mind this is not a mock draft. This is draft fits, but I do expect maybe a good amount of these to actually happen. But Cardinals, Tristan WIRFS, offensive tackle, Iowa. I think a plug-and-play guy for them in the right tackle, which they need. It's a big need on top of it being a fit. What they want to do is have Kyler Murray roll out right and be successful doing it, which involves the offensive line. They want that to be able to happen more often. And deciding between WIRFS and Wills is definitely a possibility. The tackle from Alabama, I think WIRFS will be able to give Murray that ability to roll out there safely a little better. And he's also going to be highly involved in, you catch him a lot on tape, downfield blocking for not just in the running game, I should say, but anything behind the line of scrimmage. So slip screens, they want to run that with Drake. WIRF's going to be highly involved. I think he's that perfect right tackle for them that they need to start day 1, but that'll also allow Murray to be able to roll out outside there. So WIRFS and the Cardinals, great fit. And moving on to the Falcons and the Patrick Queen, which we haven't really seen this in mock drafts much at all, maybe at all. And I like the fit here. I also think it's a realistic pick if I were to do a mock draft right now. Because they did lose Devondre Campbell. Falcons run, most time they're out there with 2 linebackers. They got Deion Jones, who actually happens to be from LSU too. So basically when you have 2 linebackers back there, you need pretty rangy guys that can pretty much do it all. Get sideline to sideline, get in the backfield, drop back in coverage. That's what Patrick Queen is. I think it's a great fit. It makes the defense a lot better for the Falcons, and I'm surprised we haven't seen a lot of people talking about the possibility of the Falcons taking Patrick Queen. I think it's a good possibility that they will be highly interested there in the middle of the first round. So Patrick Queen of the Falcons, something to look out for there, and I think it's a phenomenal fit. That's why it's here in this video. The Ravens, I got DENZEL MIMS, who will he be there at the end of the first round? I think it's a possibility. They may have to move up a little bit. I think it's a great fit, though. MIMS is really good, really everywhere on the field. I mean, if you want to throw a jump ball to him, he's good at that, too, or just launch it down the field. But what I notice a lot is, cutting across the field, more over 10 yards downfield and catching the ball in stride, after the plays kind of passive development. And that's kind of when I think of Lamar Jackson, being able to create on plays that really aren't there, the original route, the original play, and him rolling out and be able to throw to DENZEL MIMS, on the run, and DENZEL MIMS catching the ball in stride there. That's kind of the guy they're missing in there too. They need another number 1. In today's NFL, you need multiple number 1s. I think Hollywood Brown's number 1. I think Boykin's the number 2. MIMS could be that number 1 for you with Hollywood Brown. So I love the fit there, and a lot more from that offense if they get a guy like DENZEL MIMS. The Bills don't have a first-round pick anymore. They traded for Stephon Diggs, so I'm giving them a guy that you can argue is a first-round talent, but very well could be there in the second round. The Bills need to add more pass rush. They're a little more pass rush away from being elite defense, in my opinion. Julian OKWARA was very productive at Notre Dame, missed some games this year. But in 2018, when he had a full season, he was ridiculous. 40 quarterback pressures, an insane number. And this year, he was very productive when he was in as well. And his experience kind of dropping back in coverage. And that's kind of what the Bills need from one of their pass rushers. Lorenzo Alexander, they kind of use as a hybrid off-the-ball linebacker / pass rusher. And that's what OKWARA can, mainly a pass rusher, but he can kind of bring some similarities there to that Bills defense. Again, wouldn't shock me if a team took him late first, but it wouldn't shock me if he was there for the Bills with their second-round pick, and he definitely is a fit for them. And the Panthers went with Jeff Okudah here, the corner from Ohio State. And Jeff Okudah doesn't really have a team, he doesn't have a team fit. Thinking about Okudah, like he doesn't have a team, okay, that team he fits best because he's an all-around corner. He does it all. Usually when a cornerback has the man traits that he has, you want to take advantage of that because it's rare. But he probably would be even better in zone coverage because it'll be easier for him. But there'll be a mixture of both. And now the Panthers, looking at Matt Rule and his defense, him being involved in both the offense and the defense, he's always been been a guy that's just looking for the best ball players to put out there. And they're in need of a cornerback. They're in need of a guy that can really do it all here. And Jeff Okudah makes sense. Maybe he won't be there. Maybe it's a possibility he can be gone at 3. But this is definitely realistic as well. And again, it's not a mock draft anyways. But they would definitely be interested in him if he's there. And he's just a ball player. That's what he is at the cornerback position. So the Panthers would like that if they were able to get their hands on Okudah. To the Bears, maybe this one's a little, much of a stretch if he actually drops to the Bears. But what I know about Ryan Pace is he can't help himself from trading up. They do have 2 second-round picks. They do need another number 1 starting corner. They cut OKWARA. They need to get better at the position. They got some depth guys. That was good because they have no depth. Guys like Artie Burns, Tolliver has a chance to start, but I think he's depth. Gladney is a late first-round talent to me, but there is a long list of corners. After Okudah, there's some people that have C.J. Henderson second-best corner. There's some people that have Trevon Diggs. There's some people that have Gladney. There's some people that have Jalen Johnson. And the list goes on. Christian Fulton, some people have him at number 2. So what happens when there's classes like that? It's unpredictable who will come off the board second, and somebody will fall. Somebody will fall, so there is a slight chance that one of those top corners can fall or fall far enough where they don't have to trade up too much. So it is a possibility. I love the fit of Gladney to the Bears. I think he can play any scheme. He's physical enough to play man. But what the Bears need there with their phenomenal pass rush, whether it's from the edge rush position with Mack and now Robert Quinn, or from the D-line with Akeem Hicks and Golden, they need a guy that obviously is not going to get torched real early in the play, which any of those corners wouldn't be a first or a second round pick anyways. But they need a guy that can be a playmaker, that can read the quarterback, because if they're getting instant pressure, which they expect to be, the eyes need to be up. The eyes of the corners need, and that's why they have Kyle Fuller, and that's why he's had so much success recently. His eyes are up on the ball, on the quarterback. And there's really isn't too many big-time playmakers from the corners. It's a good class, but there's not a whole bunch of big-time playmakers. I think Gladney can be that guy. He's shown me on tape. He's watching the quarterback. He's watching the ball. At the same time, keeping a hand on the receiver and sticking with them. So I think Gladney would actually be perfect for that defense. But I guess one of those ones, since they don't have a first-round pick, kind of a long shot, but he is a tremendous fit. The Bengals, a little boring for the Bengals, a little boring for Bengals fans here. Joe Burrow, LSU, the best player in the draft, going to be the first pick to the Bengals. And, I wouldn't do this because it's kind of the cheap route, but he is a perfect fit. It's not just because it's, easy. This is going to be the pick. He is the perfect fit. I talked about this in the past. My comparison from in season even for Joe Burrow has been a millionaire's Jared Goff. And that's interesting because Zach Taylor, who is now the head coach and the play caller for the Cincinnati Bengals, that's where he came from. He was the quarterback coach with Jared Goff in the Rams. So they're going to run a similar system, and this guy makes sense. That's why he's a fit. He's the pick. But why he's the better version of Jared Goff, I think he's more accurate than him. I think he's, at times Goff looks like kind of a one-read or first or second option quarterback, and Joe Burrow is better than that. But the thing why Joe Burrow is the top pick, what makes him stand out, the best way to sum it up, well, he has everything. I don't think he has any flaws. And he's a winner. But the thing that stands out, what I like to say is, I feel like he has eyes all over the field. If every quarterback has a first option, but the great ones are more than a one-read or two-read quarterbacks, and that's exactly Joe Burrow. He's always got eyes everywhere on the field. He knows where that next option is, and it does not take him long to process that at all. And that's what makes Joe Burrow great, and he's a tremendous fit, like I said, for the Bengals. So it's the obvious pick, the obvious fit. The Browns are next. MEKHI Becton, who could be gone, but very realistic if he's there for them when they pick at 10, and that is because, I think it starts at 4 with the Giants, if they even take an offense tackle, which we expect them to, but that's not guaranteed. But we really don't, we have a feeling it could be Becton, but it could be Wills, it could be WIRFS, and that kind of sets things up. If they don't take Becton, there's a very realistic chance he could be here. Very realistic. And why Becton's the best fit, The other ones can fit too, but why Becton's the best fit? They need a left tackle. Conklin is a right tackle for sure. Becton fits at left. Stefanski came in there. He likes to run the ball, and run the ball some more, and that'll open up the passing game. And you have Nick Chubb, and it looks like you're still going to have Kareem Hunt. So that makes a lot of sense. They're going to want to run the ball. They want to run a little more outside. Chubb was pretty effective pretty much everywhere, but they want to be able to run outside and throw those slip screens out there to the outside like Stefanski did with Dalvin Cook, which worked. He almost overdid it, though, but you want to be at your best. And the Vikings, keep in mind, didn't really have the left tackle either with Stefanski calling the plays there. And having Becton, who is a dominant run blocker, but also dominant in that swing pass slip screen game, is just absolutely perfect there for what that offense is trying to do. Could improve a little bit in the pass blocking, but still a first-round talent there. But that's a perfect fit. So we'll see if the Browns have to move up. We'll see if they get lucky and he drops back. It's, again, realistic. The Cowboys, I love Trevon Diggs for the Cowboys. Actually reminds me of Byron Jones a little bit. We've seen Byron Jones play a little bit of safety. We've seen Diggs play everywhere. He's a former receiver, kind of an athlete, returner as well. Just a freak athlete. He is my no-brainer, no question, number 2 cornerback after Jeff Okudah in this class. I mean, he has all the traits you like in a corner. There's some times where, you wish he would have came up, made this tackle earlier. Sometimes he kind of waited, stood a little tall. You missed some tackles here and there, but nothing any more than some of these other first-round corners, actually less than some of these first-round corners. So more people are kind of concerned about that. I am not concerned, but I like him in zone or man. He's physical enough. Sometimes, his weakness in coverage was he was a little over-aggressive, which isn't a bad thing. We can calm him down a little bit. Just natural, turning his hips and making a play on the ball. I like him as a playmaker, and that's kind of what you need here in today's NFL at the cornerback position. So the Byron Jones replacement, this is the best option here after Jeff Okudah, which we know is not going to be on the board. So Diggs makes a lot of sense for a corner for the Cowboys. The Broncos being next, I got Jerry Jeudy, the receiver from Alabama. I think perfect pair at Courtland Sutton, because Courtland Sutton is just that outside sideline receiver, but he can do more than that. But that's where his strengths are: the jump ball, contested catch guy. And then Jerry Jeudy is kind of what you want here. You want a mixture of everything. He was about 50-50 when playing at Alabama, when playing in the slot, playing outside. That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect, because the Broncos want a little bit. You want to put him in the slot inside Courtland Sutton, but you also, if you can split those guys out wide on the opposite side, that's perfect as well. And what you mainly want to do is kind of add the speed in the run after catch ability there with Jeudy. So you pretty much get everything you're looking for. I'm not saying Henry Ruggs or Lamb wouldn't fit. I think Jeudy just makes the most sense here in terms of fit for the Broncos to pair with Courtland Sutton. The Detroit Lions, I went with Derrick Brown here. They need to stop the run much better, but they also need to get after the quarterback from the D-line much better. It was one of the more disappointing things of last year was the Lions' defensive line. Leading up to the season, it's like, wow, this Lions, everyone thought Lions defense line's going to be pretty good, and it was a letdown. Let's be honest here. So Derrick Brown instantly upgrades the run-stopping ability for the defense big time, but he brings that interior pressure. I think, he's a big boy, but he's not played nose tackle. He has some reps there, but he doesn't play it. He moves around a little bit outside there, and that's perfect with Danny Shelton, who they acquired in free agency for me. So they're going to stop the run at a high. Just like that, they're going to go from lower part of the league to top part of the league with Brown, Danny Shelton, and they're going to get some pressure with Brown, which they're not getting a whole bunch of with Shelton. And just playing inside those DNs, they have like Trey Flowers, and they have had some other additions. Jamie Collins going to be an off-the-ball linebacker, but they kind of that Patricia weapon there that it will be an edge rusher at times. So I really like Derrick Brown as a fit for them. We'll see. It's an option at 3 or an option if they trade back. A couple other options as well. The Packers, I like Justin Jefferson for the Packers a lot with Aaron Rodgers. It's that receiver that they're missing. It's that receiver. They need another number one. I know they signed Devin Funchess. Injured last year, hasn't proven a whole bunch. He's a solid receiver. Yeah, they get a little better with him. To me, he should be their number 3 option. When you have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, you need the weapons to be as best as they can be, and you have top-tier receiver like Devontae Adams. What you get from Justin Jefferson and what the Packers are missing is the best slot receiver in the draft. We seen him in 2018. He actually played majority of snaps outside. He was solid. In 2019, he spent almost all of the time in the slot and made big plays. not just what you expect from slots. He made big plays downfield as well, and knows how to get open against zone coverage when, in and behind, behind zones, which kind of the Packers been missing. So this is the perfect receiver for them. This is exactly what they've been missing. And it's just going to make Aaron Rodgers, it's going to make Devontae, Devin Funchess, these guys that much better. He could be gone, so it may have to be a little bit of a trade-up, but I think it's realistic he can be there. Because some teams, not every team's looking for the slot. He can play outside. I think he's just much better coming from the slot. So he could drop. Houston Texans don't have a first-round pick, but they have an early second now. They actually have 2 seconds. Jalen Reagor's a guy who can go late first, early second. Thought about Brandon Ayuk here. I think that's a good fit as well, but I like Reagor. This is the type of receiver that makes it in the Texans offense, that Deshaun Watson offense. The speedster, but downfield monster. Buddy also has, he kind of brings a little more to the high pointing the ball, contested catch than a guy like Will Fuller does. But we see how good Will Fuller is with his speed downfield, and when he's out, they're missing him big time. So get another guy that works. We can get this guy a screen pass. We can send this guy deep. He can burn people, catch the ball in stride, or he can go up over the top and catch it too. I think the Texans would like him a lot if he's there, and it's possible he's there, like I said, late first, early second for Reagor, so it's a possibility. And I guess the replacement, you could say, for DeAndre Hopkins, but a little different style, obviously. And then the Colts next. I love Jacob Eason for the Colts, the quarterback from Washington. They don't have a first-round pick anymore, but they have 2 seconds. They have the ability to move up if they have to get him. I think they will have to move up, and I think they will strongly consider it. Reminds me a little bit of a mixture between Phillip Rivers and Matthew Stafford. The Colts happen to have, I guess it's like Phillip Rivers minus the throwing motion, really. They happen to have Phillip Rivers here. They signed him to a 1-year deal. 1-year deal, so that tells us they're still looking for their future quarterback here, and that could be Eason. I think a perfect fit. Eason, I recently moved up to and it really depends on the team that he goes to, and that's how it is for all the players. But it's a risky one, what I've done. I moved Jacob Eason up to my number 3 quarterback in the draft behind Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa. And the idea of Jacob Eason on the Colts gets me very excited, let me say. The weakness of Jacob Eason is when he's under pressure. He doesn't really handle pressure. The footwork gets a little messy. He doesn't handle it great. It's not terrible. You can work on it a little bit. But a team like the Colts, where they have arguably the best offense, I'd say right now the best offense line in football, everybody's going to face pressure. So that's something he's going to have to work on. Yeah, sit behind Phillip Rivers, but a perfect situation there. And let me tell you, this guy has an arm. He has a cannon. I think highest velocity on the ball at the combine when they tested these guys, higher than Jordan Love, higher than Justin Herbert. And he has some beautiful throws. Going back and watching the tape, what he did in the beginning half of the season was great. And back then, if you remember, I was talking about him being a top pick. And then things started to happen a little bit. The offensive line started to play pretty bad. The play calling got pretty bad. And then he didn't play his best game the second half of the season. Yeah, maybe he moved on a little bit, but what I know is I usually like going back to my original judgments when I watch games live too. Those end up being the best judgments for me, and I'm kind of going back to that. And I like Jacob Eason. I hope he ends up on a team like the Colts. I think it's a great fit there, and then could be taken over early if that's the case too. So we'll see. The Jaguars. I think Ross Blacklock is a good replacement for Calais Campbell. Calais Campbell's proven, he's in the NFL, Blacklock's not, but Calais Campbell has proven to be more of a pass rusher. I guess Blacklock, it's still a mystery, but that's the beauty of kind of scouting these guys. I have a great idea that Blacklock is going to be a phenomenal pass rusher from the interior at the next level. TCU's defense was confusing on why they ran it. A lot of stunts, which didn't give him the best opportunity to get after the quarterback every play. And he had a lot of pressure. His production for the amount of pass rush snaps actually for him was actually very productive. So some people go run out the stats. I think they're pretty decent stats, but then if you realize what was going on there, they're actually phenomenal. And I love his pass rush moves. I love the way he bullies around defensive linemen, and you really can slide them all over the D-line too. Because the Jaguars are going to need 2 interior defensive linemen. Well, you can have Blacklock at one spot, a 3 technique spot, and then when you're subbing somebody in, he can almost move over to, I don't really like him straight over the center, but he really can, move over to a one shade spot, which is almost a nose tackle. So he can move around a bit. He's going to get pressure, which the Jags need from the interior, losing Calais Campbell. And the idea of them switching to a 3-4 works with Blacklock as well, which I've kind of thrown that, possibility around because they get Joe Schobert. They already have Miles Jack, 2 inside linebackers. I know Jack has the ability to move outside, but those guys play inside. Josh Allen steps back, because he's originally a 3-4 edge rusher. So then you're going to need a 3-4 end. I think Ross Blacklock can play 3-4 end. So it works in so many different ways, and it's the type of defensive lineman they need in there. So that's a possibility with one of their first-round picks or second first-round pick there. The Chiefs are next. CJ Henderson, which they may have to move up a little bit, but he could drop back here because he hasn't had a lot of whiffs on tackles, which I don't like. But what I do like is he combines physicality and athleticism in, I guess it's kind of rare, the combination that he has. But why he fits the Chiefs ran more press man than anybody last year. They like the physical corners. And that's where CJ Henderson's at his best, in his press. So he makes sense as a fit. There's a couple other corners that would fit as well, but Henderson makes the most sense for the Chiefs. We'll see if they'll actually be able to get him. The Chargers, Isaiah Simmons, it's a pick I want them to make if he's there in the first round. Don't reach for a quarterback. I do like Andrew Thomas a lot for a fit with the Chargers as well. So I really thought about that one because my comparison for him is Russell Okung, who was just the Chargers left tackle. They trade him away because he's aging and has the injury concerns. So a really good replacement. They need a left tackle. They very well could take a quarterback as well. But I like Isaiah Simmons. He's my third best player in the draft. He's, I think, a perfect outside linebacker in Gus Bradley's scheme, in which they actually need. This defense can be very good, if they have Isaiah Simmons or if they don't. But if they have Isaiah Simmons, it takes it up a notch. We're talking about an elite defense here, and he can do so much. He can do so much for them, like he did for Clemson. We can even see him step back, a bit when Derwin James comes up in the box. It just makes so much sense. And the Chargers like getting pass rush in different ways too, because we see Ingram kind of line up everywhere. So Isaiah Simmons can actually be involved in that way too, getting that extra pressure. So I really love this fit. Not a Chargers fan, but that's something I'm hoping happens, honestly, on draft day. Pass on the quarterback unless somehow you're not going to get Burrow. Somehow you can get Tua. That would be good too. And then we move on to the Rams, who don't have a first-round pick, but I give them who I say is a first-round talent, but won't go in the first round because of the injury concerns, has had multiple injuries. But Terrell Lewis is a stud. He lined up pretty much – he was a pass rusher. He was an edge rusher, but he rushed from a lot of different spots. So he would give different looks, sometimes rush from off the line of scrimmage from the middle. So he kind of was able to free roam a bit. And I like the idea of that with Aaron Donald on the line there. Still really don't know. The Rams could switch to a 4-3. It's a possibility. They've been running a 3-4. Wade Phillips is gone. But Lewis, to me, fits either scheme. They lost Dante Fowler, so this is definitely a guy that they would like in the second round if he's there for them. They very well could go offensive line. I think it's the biggest need because that was the difference between the Super Bowl year and this last year. So we'll see if they go that, but this is a really good fit in the interior offensive line class. It's pretty solid in the second round, but there's no standout fits. A couple of them do fit, but there's no standout ones to me. The Miami Dolphins went with Josh Jones, a tackle from Houston, and then picking the fit for the Dolphins is interesting because you expect Tua. That would be the easy route, but to me that would be the wrong route in this video. 1 month away from the draft because I do think they'll end up with Tua. Whether it's 5 or the trade up, they do have the most ammo right now to deal with the Lions, to trade up to 3 if that's a possibility. So I do think they'll end up with Tua. But we really don't know the Dolphins system right now. Well, because, they don't have the quarterback in there. And because they really don't have tackles in there either. So what kind of system, what kind of blocking scheme they're going to run, we really don't know right now. We really don't know. And then deciding to go with Josh Jones because we actually seen a quarterback change that really shifted the play in the style of the offense from Houston this year. So we've seen Josh Jones get zone reps and we've seen him get man reps, gap reps, same thing. And he was equally effective in both. This guy isn't talked about. Everyone knows he's a first-round talent. Not talked about enough with the top 4 guys. The top 4 guys are going to be the top 4 guys, but Josh Jones, I think there's, from what the way people make it, I think there's too much of a gap in between the 4 and Josh Jones, and there really shouldn't be. So Josh Jones would fit any scheme for them. blocking wise, and that it's a realistic pick too, with one of their picks in there as well. Andrew Thomas, I think, if they would be able to move around and they wanted to go with a zone scheme, I like Andrew Thomas for them as well, but really don't know at this point, the Dolphins. Their team is still have yet to kind of be created fully here, and it's about to happen through this draft. The Vikings next, Gross Matos, the Penn State pass rusher, he's got Vikings written all over him to me. They not bringing Everson Griffin back, so they need another pass rusher. And then why I think he's a perfect fit. What I like the best about the Vikings defense last year. What I guess I applauded Zimmer for a lot of the times last year. What he started doing in the second half of the season on obvious passing situations. He would take all the defensive tackles out and put in 4 defensive linemen on the defensive line. All pass rushers he would put in there, and they generated an insane amount of pressure on those plays, on the obvious passing situations. They created those downs. And then why Gross Matos fits is because you can't just throw any defensive end in there at D tackle, on the inside, because they're going to have to go against guards either way. But Gross Matos was an edge rusher, so right away, first down, he starts opposite of Daniel Hunter, but he actually got a decent amount of reps for an edge rusher on the inside as well, because he has the strength and he has the moves in there. So he would fit, because what they did was put Daniel Hunter on the edge, and they put Anthony Barr, who's an off-the-ball linebacker, formerly a pass rusher, on the edge. So they need those guys they need a starting defensive end, and then on the passing downs, they need guys on the inside, and Gross Matos is both of those. So I think he fits and helps them in multiple ways is what I'm getting to. I like Trevon Diggs as a fit as well, but maybe they don't want to take him because of his last name. That's an interesting situation. We'll see what happens there. The Patriots, Kenneth Murray is that Bill Belichick linebacker, in my opinion. This guy's an inside linebacker. In a 3-4, he's an outside in a outside or an inside, really, in a 4-3, 3-4 inside, 4-3, could play multiple. But he's got some reps this year at the edge rush position, going after the quarterback, coming off the edge, and he impressed me. I think this guy's got some upside as a pass rusher. He's got the speed, he's got the strength, and the Patriots, they're always creating those types of linebackers. Like Kyle Van Noy, originally an off-the-ball linebacker, Jamie Collins, they're off-the-ball linebackers. They kind of turn them into hybrids, pass rushers. Kenneth Murray is already that, and he's an absolute freak. So the Patriots kind of missed this guy, losing both of those guys that I named, and they definitely could use a guy like Kenneth Murray in there. They do have quite a bit of needs at this moment here because what happened in free agency. But Kenneth Murray is that guy that's very important to their defense, and they can use and utilize in multiple different ways. The Saints, a little bit of a wild card here. I want Jordan Love. I would absolutely love Jordan Love on the Saints, and it's starting to sound because mainly I think a team like the Panthers kind of started this party a little bit. Filling that quarterback need with Teddy Bridgewater, and they have P.J. Walker as the backup. They're not going to take a quarterback there. So that kind of pushes one quarterback back. It could be Jordan Love. It could be, Jacob Eason can sneak up, hop over everyone as well. So I think it's a possibility he could be here. And the Saints kind of missed out on their future with losing Teddy Bridgewater, and that's because they had to pay both Breeze and Bridgewater. They couldn't do that. So they got Breeze to win right now. They're still looking for their future. Taysom Hill, to me, I don't think he will be to them either. He's not a franchise quarterback, in my opinion. He's a hell of a ball player, and I would love him I love his play on the Saints, and I think he'd be effective on any team, really. But I don't think he's a franchise quarterback, I should say. But so they should be on the lookout for their future quarterback here. Jordan Love has that tremendous arm strength and that big play ability. Drew Brees still makes the big plays. He still has the big play ability, which wins them games. But maybe over the last couple of years, there's a good reason for it. I guess he's aging, but there hasn't been, just like Tom Brady, there hasn't been as much downfield. You see it touches off of that. That downfield bomb, that the arm strength, I should say. And Jordan Love has that. You can't coach that. And what he's missing is everything that Drew Brees can teach him while he's sitting there. He needs to work on the action a little bit. He's a little bit messy, almost on the I would not compare him to RG3, but it kind of reminds me of that. When RG3 take away the injuries. He was pretty damn good throwing the ball downfield, even on the Redskins. He just could not complete anything underneath, anything within 10 yards. Just was throwing behind, overextending so much. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. That's where he needs to touch up a little bit. And that's something that's definitely doable. A guy's not going to be able to just all of a sudden gain that touch pass downfield or gain arm strength tremendously, maybe a little bit. So I think it's a perfect situation for Jordan Love to learn from this, not just Drew Brees, but this coaching staff, and he definitely needs to sit. I'm usually never in favor of having the first-round quarterback sit, but this would be absolutely fantastic. So would love to see that happen. Maybe it's a little bit of a long shot, but love the fit there. The Giants, Jedrick Wills, offensive tackle, Alabama, and just deciding between Becton and Wills, Finkel and Einhorn. Didn't know which one to go here. Becton very well could be the pick. They want to run the ball, and that's why it works for both. They want to run the ball more. Gettleman's came out and said it. I think he worded it weird. People kind of rip him for that, but I see what he's trying to say. He wants to run to open up the pass, and that makes sense for anybody, and it makes sense when you have Barkley and then a quarterback that still needs to improve and that's still growing in Daniel Jones. So you want to be able to run the ball a little better because Barkley could be the best running back in football. You need tackles that can run block better. To me, Nate Solder, I don't want to say I believe in him because he's kind of on his way out, but I believe that he'll play better this year than last year, and I still think he'll be effective in the run game. So why I went with Wills is because, right now, that's going to help them more right now. Becton's going to be higher on my board because of the upside, and I think he can be just as effective as Wills right now too, but they need a plug-and-play right tackle right now, and to me, that's Wills. Wills is the right tackle, Becton the left, because you can start Solder still at the left. If they end up getting Becton, Solder could be cut or dealt or something, and that very well could be the pick, but that was kind of the deciding factor because I'm kind of back and forth on that. They both fit equally as well. I just think Wills at that right tackle spot, day one, just makes maybe a little more sense if we're talking about a fit right now. I keep using that, but that's why I chose it. But if you go Becton, you're right as well. The Jets went with Clavon Chason, actually, and they very well could take a receiver. They definitely need one. And I did put some receiver fits in here, but there's really no right answer. Do you want CeeDee Lamb? CeeDee Lamb's a do-it-all receiver. He's a top-tier, elite prospect receiver. Sometimes Darnold kind of throws the ball up for grabs. Maybe Lamb would be better for that. But then Jerry Jeudy's just instantly wide open. A lot of times Darnold didn't really have a guy wide open early when there's pressure in his face. Jeudy's right away wide open. So you can argue both sides, and Ruggs has a little bit of both. A mixture of both, has the elite speed, obviously. You could argue there's no right answer for the right, correct fit there. But I went with Chason. I think Chason is a great fit. It's a possibility there. We'll see. It's a possibility because Greg Williams, more familiar with the 4-3 defense, he kept the 3-4 because the Jets kind of have more pieces for that 3-4. But now they're starting to gain pieces where they can give a little bit of both looks. And that's kind of what Chason is on the edge, too. I think he's both. I think he can play in the 4-3 edge or the 3-4 edge. So I think this is a Greg Williams-type pass rusher with the pieces around here on the Jets defense. So I think it makes a lot of sense. They kind of are missing that really good pass rusher, too, for a while. And that defense is some pass rush, maybe a corner away as well from really, it could be an elite defense. Got guys like Quinn Williams in there as long as not suspended long term. There's a couple other young defensive linemen they've been drafting in there as well. But then the long list of linebackers, mainly inside guys. And then you got the safety duo that I love. So I think Chason would be a really good fit. The receivers or even an offensive lineman should be and probably are a little bit higher on their board than Chason. So if they're there, they could pull the trigger there. But Chason does make a lot of sense. It's a really good fit. The Raiders went with CeeDee Lamb. You can argue Jeudy for this one. What type of receiver do they want? They need a true number one receiver, and they get that with either one. But CeeDee Lamb does everything. He does everything you ask from a receiver one, and that's why, I'd say he's most people's receiver one in this draft class. Like, there isn't a flaw to his game. You can give him a screen pass. He can break tackles, evade the tackles, make the big play, but he also can make that big contested catch downfield or burn somebody deep downfield. Just the Raiders are missing. The Raiders are missing a lot of it. Tyrell Williams is a sideline guy, go up and catch the ball. We'll have some drops too, but they're really missing. Every category really. They're really missing from an actual number one receiver. So that's why CeeDee Lamb makes a lot of sense. But again, you can argue Jeudy as well. And then another receiver we'll talk about with the Eagles, LAVISKA SHENAULT, who I'm a big fan of, which actually could drop the round 2 only because he's got to have surgery, but I think he'll be good to go week 1. And I mean, kind of going back to it, this guy is a first-round talent. This guy is a ball player, a do-it-all guy, exactly what the Eagles need there at the receiver position, because they Alshon Jeffrey is going to be that possession receiver, but he also can be that contested catch receiver downfield, dominant in the red zone. But he has the injury concerns. And then Deshaun Jackson, who could be the deep speed, but the underneath speed at the same time. So with Shenault, you get a mixture of both. You get a little bit of both there, which they need. A guy that you can stick outside. I mean, you can throw a jump ball to him. You can give him a screen pass to him. You can send him underneath on a slant. Just get the ball in his hands and let him work. We actually seen him play Wildcat, running back, Colorado. Pretty damn good doing that. I mean, this guy's a first-round football player. So we'll see where he goes because the injury, it's minor in my opinion. But I would like him a lot with Carson Wentz, with those receivers on the Eagles. Steelers next. We went Lucas Nang, who I think is easily a first-round talent. Did get hurt this year, and then with the quarantine going on, teams can't give these guys that medical check that they want to give, or they usually can give. So he can drop for that reason. This guy's allowed 0 sacks in 3 seasons playing for TCU, 0. The Steelers need a plug-and-play right tackle. I think this guy's a day 1 starting right tackle as long as he's healthy, and very well could be there for them in the second round. Seattle Seahawks just absolutely love the fit of Cesar Ruiz, the Michigan center, who also, interior offensive line, I think could play guard. The Seahawks need one more starting piece, in my opinion, there. And they did get B.J. Finney, who can play center or guard. I kind of like him more at guard, like Ruiz at center. But you can flip them, and it still works. And the Seahawks run the ball maybe more than anybody. I know there's some teams right there with them, but they love to run the ball to open up the pass, and it works out for them. So they need another guy on the inside there, and Cesar Ruiz is a dominant run blocker from Michigan there. They love to pound the football there, and he's always stands out in the run game. So I think a great fit there at the end of the first round. Cowboys might be in need. We talked about the Cowboys, right? This could be a good fit for the Cowboys as well, because they may be in need for the top center in the draft, which seems to be fighting over a guy like this, or Lloyd Cushenberry, who could be a second-round pick. The 49ers absolutely love this fit. Neville Gallimore from Oklahoma, and a guy that actually been watching a little more very recently, and this guy's going to go a lot higher than we all thought at one point. He's going to go a lot higher. A rare type of player in this draft class. He's going to be today's NFL nose tackle, and that is because it's a passing league. You want to be able to get your nose tackle to rush the passer, and you want to have him on the field at all times. See, some of these nose tackles, they drop in the draft, and that's because they're only on the field in first, second down, and they only can play nose tackle. Gallimore played really almost all over the defensive line, was effective everywhere, and he gets after the quarterback but stops the run first. I think it's a perfect player to replace DeForest Buckner, but what they were missing was kind of more of that nose tackle, and that's why they had some of those other pieces in there, Sheldon Day. So Gallimore, he's not as good as Buckner, obviously, but he kind of gives you a little bit of both. He kind of gives you a little bit of Buckner, and a guy like Sheldon Day can move around those spots in the D-line, so it's kind of like you regain all this back here with a guy like Neville Gallimore, because Armstead is kind of the DN that kind of slides in a little bit when D Ford's right next to him. So, this is a perfect fit, exactly what they need, and it'll get that defense back to the top of the league like it was playing last year. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, love Henry Ruggs for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They do need a tackle. Any of these top tackles could fit them, and they definitely could grab one. They definitely may grab one. But Henry Ruggs, to me, just makes this offense that much more dangerous, that much more explosive. Mike Evans is that sideline contested catch receiver, and then Chris Godwin is the like today's slot receiver. Got a little bit of a build to him. He can play slot or outside, but a little bit of a build to him, and really has everything to his game. Everything Chris Godwin has to his game all of a sudden. Really loves this Bruce Arians offense and playing in the slot. Split those guys up. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Godwin. Which one do you? You're still missing a little bit. You're still missing that elite speed, and you kind of want to put him outside. Wide out, opposite of Mike Evans, of course, and that's Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs is, he's under 6 foot. He's a speedster. You'd think he'd be a slot receiver, but he's not. He is a downfield, and he can contested catch too as well, and he's an outside receiver. I think a perfect pair with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans there. An absolute perfect pair for Tom Brady, and that's just going to make them that much better. So I would love Ruggs to the Buccaneers. He could be gone there at that point, but a perfect fit. Again, that's like the perfect trio. That's the best trio of all time. It could be. It really could be. With just you're not missing any traits from a receiver with those three. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Henry Ruggs, ridiculous. I would love to see that. Titans fans probably expect me to put Zach Bond here. I'm taking a little break from that, even though it's probably the best fit. I've kind of talked about that for so long. And they did add Vic Beasley, so maybe they're not in the market in the first round for a pass rusher. They very well still could be. Beasley not proven, 1-year deal. I do like the fit of Zach Bond, but I went a little outside the box here, something that's really growing on me. AJ Epinesa is an edge rusher, but I don't like him as edge rusher for Tennessee Titans. I like him a lot at the 3-4 end position. You got Jones at nose tackle. You drafted Jeffrey Simmons, kind of more the D tackle. You need pass rush from that end spot, that 3-4 end spot. I like AJ Epinesa there. He's mainly was a 4-3 end pretty much all the time. He did have some reps inside, and he impressed me a lot. He's very strong, very good with his hands, very good technique. He gets after the quarterback. He just does not have the athleticism to play, come from the edge. Maybe on some 4-3 teams he does. Titans run a 3-4. He's most certainly not going to be the edge rusher, an outside linebacker. But it's really, really growing on me. Being a 3-4 end, the only concern with guys going from edge rusher to 3-4 end was, do they have the strength? I think Epinesa does. It's a risk, but I like it. One more team here. The Redskins, kind of took the easy route here with Chase Young, but it is a tremendous fit for Ron Rivera's defense. We've seen Ron Rivera run a 4-3, 3-4 in the past, and Chase Young will, a lot of these pass rushers, all right, yeah, this pass rusher's good, but he's a 4-3 guy. We got to run a 4-3. All right, I guess that's okay because we need to have this pass rusher. Or the opposite, 3-4. Chase Young is going to fit in any scheme, any Ron Rivera scheme. He's going to fit. Whether he's opposite of Montez Sweat, which would be the future, or Ryan Kerrigan. And the beauty is, I think all three of those pass rushers, I think they fit any scheme, and that's why it's great over there. And they have the phenomenal defensive line, the front with Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Ioannidis, those guys are beasts up there. So Chase Young fits there. And I think they can get a little unique too. I think they can have Chase Young maybe off the ball rushing from the inside. Or they can put Montez Sweat there on the end. They can have Kerrigan and Young rush from the outside of those ends. They can do so many different things. And this defense is another defense that can take that step. It's going to be a great defense. Can it be an elite defense? You have a shot if you get add a guy like Chase Young there. So I think it's going to happen. It's a great fit. Makes a lot of sense, and you can do multiple things with Chase Young, the other players, because of adding Chase Young. So he's a Ron Rivera pass rusher is what I'm getting to here. So love that. That's the obvious one, but it's the right one. But that's going to do it. Like I said, very near future, we'll do the same video for day 2 draft fits, day 3 draft fits. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have all kinds of NFL draft content under a month away. We'll be live day 1 of the NFL draft. We're going to start to have some live streams kind of leading up to that. We'll talk NFL draft. We'll kind of we'll look at some viewer mock drafts and break those down. So really excited about everything we have planned going forward here. Full NFL coverage. Please subscribe to both channels. Follow us on Twitter. Check out the new podcast. There's links down below, the description, the comments, every single video. That's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.